Yesterday we saw a chutzner in not a wall, but it had a ditch that was 10 by 4. In that case, it's a barrier, and they have to make separate a roof, and they can't be married together. If it's full of straw or teven animal fodder, it still is a barrier because people are not mevatel the fodder there. So therefore, it's considered like it's going to be taken away. However, if it's full of dirt, then we say that it's filled in, and now you don't have the option of making two separate eruvim. You have to be ma'arif together as one eruv. So I think we started the Gemara yesterday with Teven, or we didn't start the Gemara? Did we start the Gemara? Or we didn't.
We're up to the Mishnah on the top. We're up to the Mishnah.
I didn't do the Mishnah yet.
Oh yeah, we did the Mishnah.
You did the Mishnah. You didn't start the Gemara.
We did the Mishnah, and I just spoke it out. Now, okay, it's mashma Teven, right? Teven is not a chatzitza. We said that it's the Teven loy chayitz, but again, the Mishnah said Mali kasher Teven, I feel Mali kasher Teven. So you see that what that it's not a chatzitza. Vanantanan makvein shebein shtei chatzeiros givoya asaret tvachim ma'arvin shnayim be'em ma'arvin echad. So we see that what it is a chatzitza when it's a wall. Rabbi alini mechitza kol yam lepligi. When it's a mechitza, everyone agrees davi mechitza. Avalini chatzitza. If it's a chatzitza, meaning it's in the ground, they consider ibat lechayitz. If they mavatlet, then it's a chatzitza. Iloy bat liloy chayitz, then it's not a chatzitza. You know, if they're not mavatlet, they're going to take it out. Stam tevin, they're going to take out. Offer, we said on the other hand, automatically it is considered filled in. Mashma that you don't have to verbalize a bittel. The fact that the ditch is filled in with dirt, automatically that makes it what? One chatzar. Fred the Gemara, va'afilu b'stama, even stam without a verbalization of bittul. Okay. Yediyah time. We're all familiar with the concept of oil hames. That if you're in a house or any covering with a mace in it, everything in the house becomes tameh, right? The tumah stays encapsulated in the house. If there's a tefach in between, then it's chayitz, right? If the tefach is filled in, then the tumah is by kas for oila. If you be on top of the roof, you would be tameh. Again, in the house you're tameh. Out of the house, if there's a tefach, that tefach is a barrier, and on top of that, you would not be tameh. Take away that tefach, then you would be tameh, because the tumah, literally by kas, it breaks through and shoots up. You have a house with a piece of a mace or a mace in the house, it's full of stuff, right? Says the Mishnah in the 15th parak of Oilos, it's full of teven or pebbles, ubitloi, and you mavatal to keep it there, bottle. Then it's considered bottle. Bitloi in, loi bitloi loi. Meaning, if you verbalized it, the tsroiris are considered a bittul. If you didn't verbalize it, not. Yet our Mishnah says the fact that it's filled in, it's considered a fill-in, even without a bittul. A stira from the Mishnah in Eruvin to the Mishnah in Oilos. Our Mishnah says you do not have to verbalize the bittul. The Mishnah in Eruvin says you have to verbalize the bittul. 3 trutzim. Amar Rav Huna man Tana Oilos Rabbi Yosi. That Mishnah in Oilos is according to the Tana Rabbi Yosi. Our Mishnah is according to Rabbi Meir. In other words, it's a machlokes Tanoim. That is the opinion of what of the Tana Rabbi Yosi, who says that you have to make a bittul, and our Mishnah says not. So therefore, it's not a stira; it's a chalukei mishnayos. They argue on each other. Fred the Gemara, I got a problem. Rabbi Yosi never said that. Rabbi Yosi ibcha shemin alei. So Rav Huna heard Rabbi Yosi say something. He wasn't sure. Now he's switching gears, as we're going to see in a second. The Tanya, Rabbi Yosi, I married the same Mishnah. Teven vein asa l'fnoisa. If the house is with Teven and it's going to remain there, harihuk is stam afar. It's like stam afar and it's bottle. So you see that what? Stam afar, guys, is bottle. Like our Mishnah here in Eruvin. Ubat, right? Afar. Ubatal. Afar v'asa l'fnoisa. If the house is filled with dirt that you're going to take out, harihuk is stam Teven. V'lai bottle. So let's go through it. We had a stira. Our Mishnah in Eruvin said, what? You don't have to verbalize a bittul. The Mishnah in Oyla says you have to verbalize the Mishnah. You wanted to say the Mishnah according to Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is saying right now, stam off is bottle, like our Mishnah here in Eruvin. So how can you tell me that the Mishnah in Oyla is Rabbi Yossi? So what? Ella Amar Rabbi Asi, I'll tell you what. Man Tana Eruvin. Who is the Tana in Eruvin who does not require a verbalized bittul, but stam putting dirt in the hole as the job? That's Rabbi Yossi. And the Mishnah in Ayla, the first part, is going against another Tana. So that's the first teretz. Notice the first teretz is wanting to say the Mishnah in Ayla is Rabbi Yossi. It's the same teretz. We're just switching Tanoim. Rabbi Yossi is now coming the Tana of an Eruvin who does not require a verbalized bittul. And Mishnah in Ayla that requires a verbalized bittul is whomever it is. Very good. Teretz number one. Teretz number two, again, the stira. Our Mishnah stam is batal. The Mishnah Eruvin, you have to verbalize the bittul. Says the Gemara. Rav Huna Ber Yeshua Amar Tuma Ashabes Karamis. You're asking from Tuma that you need a bittul to Shabbos that you don't need a bittul. Hanachisur Shabbos. Dafilu Anarki Nami Mevatel in Inish. Fellas, Shabbos is a din of muktzah, right? Offers muktzah. Even something expensive is muktzah. A person is mevatel. A person is mevatel. Automatically, the fact that it's muktzah is a bittul. So when it comes to Hilchas Tumah V'Taira, where it's a shaila whether it's going to be there or not, you need a verbalized bittul. By Shabbos, by Eruvin, which is a Shabbos tikkadin, automatically when it comes Shabbos, persons on the vatal thinks they don't have to verbalize it. By the fact that it's Shabbos, automatically a person's not going to use it, right? He's not going to use his wallet, and he's certainly not going to use dirt. So automatically the dirt becomes batal. So the chilik, it's a kuli alma. It's not a machlokes tanoim. It's a distinction between Shabbos and Oylos and Tumah. Third teretz, Rav Ashi Amar, Bayis achritz karamis. You're asking from a house where is it normal to have offer in a house? No one keeps dirt in a house. So there you need a bittul. A ditch, on the other hand, it's filled with dirt. That's where it's going to stay. Bittul, Bayis achritz karamis, bishlei mechritz limit mayakoi. The chritz is for the purpose of being filled up. Some house is going to be filled up with dirt? Not. So therefore, by a ditch, you don't need a bittul. By a house, you need a bittul. So three threw us into the stira. Machlokes Tanoim, Rabbi Yossi being the Tana of our Mishnah, difference between Shabbos and Tumah. Shabbos Tam is like you don't even need a bittul because automatically. And third, what that? Forget Shabbos, get Tumah. House to ditch. A ditch, it's a bottle. Right? What are you going to do? You fill up a ditch. That's what you do with a ditch. The merely you don't have to verbalize a bittul. It's going to stay there. Mashenk in a house, it's not normally to have it in a house. The merely you would need a bittul. Guys, good? Nasirullah Nesser Shiraychiv Dalid. We said if you put over a ditch, if it's Roichiv Dalid, there'll be Mamayat. If it's Roichiv Dalid, it'll be Mamayat. Okay, let's see. Let's get our pictures going here. That's a little later on in the day. Yeah. Picture 61. Until now, we've been discussing a board going across. What happens if you take the board in its width? Let's say you take the length and put it this way. So that you'll make it into one rishus. Because again, as I told you yesterday, 4 is dafka. By the wall, it was lav dafka. It was the 10 that was important. The 4 only came into a play regarding whether it's a rishus by itself and you could take food down from it. Over here, we said if it's less than 4, you can jump right over it, right? So therefore, if you would put the board in this way and it diminishes the width of 4, then automatically it would be what? It would be it would be one chutzner. Automatically be one chutzner. So let's see it inside. Amar Rabba loishanu that it's roichiv. You need 4 elishanas and the roichbay. If you put it in, it's with the width across the width of the ditch. Avala archai. If you put the board in the length of the ditch, afilu kolshu and nami. Even kolshu will go ahead and make it one chutzner. Shari mir to medalid because you diminish the width of dalid. Once you diminish the width of dalid, you just walk across and it's one chutzner. Okay, yesterday we saw we have machlokes by Guzar. They're like this is what we saw yesterday. Now Rashi holds it's this, guys. So we said if you put a board there, then it's considered one rishus. If not, it's two separate rishuyos. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to go through a few scenarios. The Gemara is going to go through a few scenarios. Here's picture 64. Notice this will be according to Rashi. This will be according to the other opinion. That's across the way. Rashi, it's on the same side. Here it's on two separate sides. Good? Says the Gemara. In other words, this not because it's dangerous. And one on top of the other, let's say there's less than 3 tefachim between the two of you. In that case, what? It would be, you would be able to make an error. If it's less than 3 between, over here, guys. If there's less than 3, then you would be able to, it'll be considered 1. And this is called guzot shakumi. It's called a crooked balcony. Okay.
Is that a loved?
Balcony. It's a balcony. This is guzot. It's a balcony.
So you didn't love it because it's less than 3?
Yeah. Less than 3 is a loved. Therefore, listen, this whole Masechta is based upon loved. Like when the number 3 is loved. Okay, guys, you have houses, 2 chatzerim. You got a whole haystack over here. This is considered a mechitza, and therefore they can't make an erev together. They have to make it separately, right? Okay. Says the Mishnah, Matvin shebein shtei chatzeros. You have a haystack between 2 chatzeros. Givoya asoret tefachim. It's high 10 tefachim. Ma'arvin shnayim, they ma'arvin echad. Then ma'arvin 2, they can't make it as 1. They have to make 2 separate chatzera, 2 separate eruvim. Elu ma'achila mikan, the elu mechila mikan. This guy his cow can eat from this side, and his cow can eat from this side. And we're not worried they're going to come to go ahead and switch. Nismayot hateven me'asar tefachim. If the tevin gets less than 10 tefachim, ma'arvin echad ve'ei ma'arvin shnayim. Then they can only, once it's less than 10, it's considered 1 chatzar, and therefore what? They have to make a communal erev. Now the 10 means across the whole length, guys. The 10 means across the whole length, not a little part. Okay. I want to do Rashi ma'achilin, guys. Ma'achilin. Ma'achilin, you can feed minat tevin lebheimasan to their animals. V'lo chashinon dilma mimayet tevin meyud. And we're not worried that the height of the haystack will become less than 10. And it would then be 1 rishus, the asri adadi. Guys, in other words, if this haystack becomes less than 10, then it's 1 rishus, and they never made an erev. If they never made an erev 1 rishus, they won't be able to be carried. So why are we concerned that the animals are going to eat and diminish the height of the erev? No longer will you have a mechitza, and you'll have 1 chatzah with no erev, which would asa bringing anything from the house into the chatzah. In other words, classic erev chaseros would have been destroyed. Continues Rashi. We're not worried about that. And they won't think about it. So why not? The afilu imit, even if it gets smaller, if it's not going to be more than 10 amas, guys. Remember, 10 amas is the pirza. If it's not going to be more than 10, until 10, it's considered a pesach. No animal is eating so much in 1 Shabbos. So it's a matter of logistics. So he can eat, and we're not worried he's going to eat because the animal's not going to eat that much. So it's going to remain, again, even if he eats over here and opens up a hole over here, up until 10, it's good. There's no way he's eating 10 amas worth of grain, of hay on 1 Shabbos. So back in the Mishnah, Nachamal, Matvein, a haystack, Shebein Shechet Seres, Gavoya Asar Tfachim, Ma'arvin Shnayim, Ve'im Ma'arvin Echad. Elu Machila Mikan, Ve'elu Machila Mikan, Nismaya Teven, let's say it becomes smaller, Nismaya Teven, let's say the Teven becomes smaller, then Ma'arvin Echad, they have to make a communal Erev, and they can't make an Erev separately. Okay, that's what the Gemara says. Rav Huna says Rav Huna. Rav Huna says Rav Huna. Your animal can eat provided you don't feed it. You're not able to take it and feed the animal. That would not be permitted. Says Rashi, why? You don't take it from the with your hand and put it in the kupa. Dil meshakal tuva, maybe you'll take a lot, and diminish him more than 10. Become a talta mechatza haiseres, and you'll be carrying a chatza that's asa. So what's it speaking about in the Mishnah? When the animal goes itself. The behema eats much less. A behema eats more when the Baal is stuffing it in his. When the Baal is stuffing it in, he's going to eat more. So that we won't let. But when he's eating himself, it's okay. Lishnach Rina, second, because it's muksa. Yes, Steve, what's up?
Does a mechitza have to have a certain stability or permanence or the ability to withstand rain?
We had earlier in the Masechta the shaila about an animal, right? The question is if it's there, right? It has to be able to be there if it's going to move away. But right now, when Shabbos came, this was a good mechitza, and we're not concerned that it's going to be less because again, the mechitza is across 10 amis. Why? It's a long length, Steve. I guess if it would be a mechitza that was 10 by 4 and much smaller, then we would not allow it because again, the concern that the animal will eat it, take it away. But in this scenario where it's so long, we're not worried. Okay, Fred the Gemara. So look me, Shari, smashma, but to put you can leave the animal there and put him there. In other words, you told me you can't put it in your feed bag and stuff the animal. Mashma, but you could take the animal and put the animal there. A person can put his animal by grass, b'Shabbos. But he can't put his animal by something that's muktzah on Shabbos. In other words, in this case, we're more chama. We said earlier, sometimes we're more worried about being open to the Rabbanon than the Raisa. So in this scenario, this is considered muktzah. The part of the mechitza that was not you expect to stay is not animal fodder. It's mechitza. That's muktzah. Animal fodder is not muktzah. The mechitza of animal fodder is muktzah because exactly the point Steve made. We want that to stay. You don't want to take that away. You are makatsatas. It's going to stay there. In other words, there's two types of animal fodder, guys. One that's muktzah, one that's not muktzah. The part, in other words, if you would have, let's say, 12 tefachim high, 2 tefachim on top would be okay. 10 below is muktzah. So questions to Gemara, forget about not being able to feed the animal. How would you like to go ahead and take the animal? Taking the animal to grass you could do because we're not worried that your midaraisa are going to go ahead, pick the grass up and be over on kaitzer. Now we're not worried about it. Toilish. Kaitzer is not a human being. Toilish. Masha Enkain, by muktzah, we are worried. So why would you be allowed to go in here? Maybe you're going to come to take from the wall itself, right? So how is that allowed? That's the Gemara's kasha. It's a great kasha. Not that the Gemara needs my askama, but it's a Gishmaka kasha. And for the Gemara, the koim le'ba'apo, you didn't lead it there. You stood in its way. In other words, the animal is starting to wander. The cow's starting to wander. You stood in the animal's way. The cow's not going to run over you. It's a cow. It's going to turn. So by you standing there, you can influence its direction. So that's what it means. Not that you physically can take it and put it there. Not that you could take feed and feed it. But you can influence its direction by standing in its way and making it go over there. Will go and eat. Right? Fred the Gemara of Layitin L'Tech Kupa. Pasa, you said you can't take it in the Kupa. We got this scenario over here. Right? I will miss the Pirush Chai in the next Masechta, Bez Hashem. Like this has become part of the culture of the Daf. Steve, was a riot. We ran into this that was downloaded. Remember I told you to buy it? It was just, you found it was crazy. Just luck. So watch. You have over here a chutzner in a house, over here a chutzner in a house, and there's a teven in the middle, right? So, what's the halacha? Let's see. What's the halacha? Vatanya bayis shebein shtei chetzeros umuleu teven, and it's full of grain, fodder. Ma'arvin shnayim bein marvin echad. This is considered a mechitza, and these two chetzeros remain separately. They can't go ahead and use this communal chutzner over here. This base is also, there's a little doorway over here. They can't, in other words, they would not be able to make an eruv together over here because of this wall. In other words, this wall is doing like our Mishnah. For all intents and purposes, it's a mechitza between this chutzner and this chutzner. Now, zeh noisin l'toich kupasai. This guy could take teven and put it into his kupa, in his box. V'zeh noitin, and this one can. V'yachel, and feed their animal. Good. That's the kasha. You just told me that you can't. Here by the house, you're saying you could. If this gets less than 10 tfachim, shnei masurim, then they're both usher, because now you have a rishus without an erev chatzeris. When this gets less than 10, so now this is all one chatzer. They didn't make an erev, so the whole thing is usher. If you want to be a nice guy, what should you do? Noyeles beisai, close your door right here. There's a door. Close your door over here. Umevatles rishusai, and be mevatel your rishus. Now this guy will be able to carry. That's the brisa. So who asa? He's isa v'chaver muta. So the same halacha applies by a pit that the tchum goes here, the tchum goes there. This guy can feed over here. We're not worried he's going to go over the tchum. This guy can feed over here, and we're not worried he's going to go over the tchum. Right? Shebein beis tchum Shabbos. Ketani mihas. Nonetheless, we learned. Zeh nois l'toch kupas leviachel. Zeh nois l'toch kupas leviachel. Guys, we're going to get back to this price in a minute. Bottom line is, the kasha is from the clause that said you could feed, you could take and put in your box, and you could take and put in your box. Yet in this case over here, you said you cannot take and put in the box. Kasha, and for the Gemara, army, bias, kivan the ikka tikra, ki mifchas minkara le milsa. Hacha le mikra le milsa. If you're over here and you have a roof, you have a means of measuring if it's getting diminished. So therefore, you could feed, because if it gets to the point of 10, you're going to know. You're going to know that it's too low, or you'll stop at 10, because you have a means of what? Of figuring it out. Over here, in an open chutzner, you don't have a means of figuring it out, and therefore, here it's us to feed. Mashenkin over here, in this case, where there's a tikra, you would be permitted to feed, simply because you have a means of measuring. That's what Rashi, how Rashi explains this. Look at Rashi 4 lines from the bottom. Kivan the ikra tikra, since there's a roof, nikar shegag hagodish misrachik min tikra. You'll recognize that the top of the godish, the roof of the godish, is getting distance from the ceiling. The mafkas me'asara rami anafshe, and if it goes if the distance from asara, rami anafshe will perish. Ulishlan muksanami ein asa misham muksa elam yudul mata. Again, you're only asa on the wall below. The chomei asara l'mayla lav tzarich mechitzahi. Guys, remember what I told you. In this, let's say this is 12 high. The top 2 is permitted. The bottom 10 is not. So if that's muksa and you're worried you're going to take the muksa, over here I'm not worried because I have this to go ahead and remind me. Mashenkin over here, I don't have that to remind me. So those are the 2 possible b'shatim over here in the Gemara. Guys, good? Last 2 dafim, very, very geshmak, very nice. Yeah.
Picture 67 had the measurement against the wall. Right below. Right there. You see?
Because you knew it was 10.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to
he's
ask,
ju-
but we're not worried.
he's just showing you that, it's 10, but that, he's just showing you. But again, by and large, if you don't have the means of measuring over here, you're not going to remember that because you're off the wall. There, you're right underneath it. Here, you're off the wall. And Kenny had a question.
They wouldn't make a gezerah that you might measure it on Shabbos when you saw the pile going down to make sure?
I don't think you have to measure. I think any person is going to be, once you begin to go ahead and see this diminishment, a person's going to be perished. He's going to stay away from any possible issa. He's not going to wait to get to the point of no return, right? He's not going to get to there. Guys, good? Very nice. Okay, says the Gemara Vayta. Now, that was the Mishnah. We said that if it becomes asa, they're both asa. Ha'asara shari, mashma 10 is muta. The afagav, now this is going in the brisa. The afagav, the midlay tikra tuva, even if what, it's a great distance. In other words, this is going on the brisa. And so again, we know this case cold, right? We know this case. Here it is. As long as it's 10, once it's below 10, it's asa, right? It says now, but asara, it would be okay. Below 10 is no good. Asara is okay. Good. Last week, we had a big machlokes. Well, I don't know if it was last week, but do you remember the 5 guys in the Traklin? And we had a machlokes, the mechitzas. What are you speaking about? Beishamay Vesilo. Is it touching the ceiling or not touching the ceiling, right? And we had a machlokes. There was an opinion. In order to be a mechitza, it has to touch the ceiling. So over here, if this goes down and it's not touching the ceiling, you have a mechitza of 10, shlayigir l'tikra. So you'll see it's a good mechitza. That'll be a question on the Man Yomadiyah who said you need to have the mechitza touching the ceiling. So we're using this as a kasha on that. Ha'asar shari, v'afagav the midli tikra tuva, even though it's distance from the ceiling. Shmamina, mechitza shein magias the tikra, a mechitza that does not hit the ceiling. Shman mechitza is good mechitza. And we had an opinion that it has to go ahead and hit the ceiling. Kasha on that man the Omar. Amar Abaya Hacha, Bibaya Shloisha Esrei Chasa Mashu Askinon. We're dealing with a house that's 13 less Mashahu, Bitevan Asara. So what are we dealing with over here? The ceiling, the ceiling in total is 13 less a bit. Yours Teven. Shalom, what are we talking about? This is a case of Shalom. Very good. This is a case of Lavud, right? He got. Listen, I got Brera, I got Tchumen with Yehuda Horowitz, and I got Lavud with Shalom Kagan. Everyone's got their place. Okay, so now you have, guys. Here's the story. It's 12 3/4. Your haystack is at the 10 point. It's within 3 tfachim of the ceiling. So therefore, it's not shver in that man yama, because we'll consider it as if what? If it's mechitza shemagia l'tikra. That's one teretz. Another teretz of Hunabrei Yeshua Amar.
Rabbi, why do you have to say it's love? Why don't you say that it's good?
I don't take questions from people I can't see.
Why don't you say it's good asik? Why do you have to say love it?
You don't think it's good asik with 4 sides. Go back. You go back. You say good asik with 4-sided thing. You say it by a round thing, but good asik.
Okay.
So now you have here you have it's 10, but the Tevin is 7.5. 7.5 to 10. You're within love with. It says I feel the time of bias asara amid beis. Tevin shivu mashahu. The chalpachas mishloisha kilavadami. Everything that, right? For the Gemara, l'char is 7.5, guys. It said below 10, correct? Bishleim Labayo said the ceiling was 12 3/4. Hainu diktani me'asara. El Rav Huna Brei Yeshua, it says 7.5. My asara. It said that the pile got less than 10. It says let me Taurus asara. It means from the Taurus asara, meaning it's not within 10 because you don't have love it. It's out of bounds. That's what it means. It doesn't mean literally 10. It means out of bounds of 10. We said Shnei Masurim Shmamina that the urine haboyim b'Shabbos asurin. Earlier on in the Masechta, we had questioned that people who arrive on Shabbos, can they asa or not? Good. Who arrived on Shabbos over here? Both these guys. As soon as the wall came down, they were there. And you're telling me they're asa in the middle chutzah there, right? So when did they arrive? They came on Shabbos. So l'chayra, it was diminished on Shabbos. It's the halacha of what? The urine that came on Shabbos. And this was a shaila we had early in the Masechta in Daf Yomi. And for the Gemara, Dilma the imit meyet. Well, no, maybe the reason it's usher because it's not that it became diminished on Shabbos, it became diminished before Shabbos, and therefore, since it was diminished before Shabbos, therefore, what? It's usher because they should have made an eruv. Ketzir Noilas Beislam Mevatel Rishus. Mashmi needs to do two things. He's got to close the door and then be Mevatel his Rishus. Fred Gemara Tati. You need two? Why do you need two? Once you close the door, you're being misalik yourself, and it's the chutzah should belong to the other guy. Or once you're mevatel, why do you have to close your door? You're being mevatel your rishus. You're saying I don't have rishus yet. Says you're right. You don't need two. Either close the door, or mevatel es rishusay. Either or. Be by same and no. Loilam tarti. You need two because kivin the doshbei asi litatule. Since you were accustomed to going ahead and using it till it got diminished, you may continue to use it. So as a more secure measure to ensure that in a scenario you won't use it, you have to do both. Ordinarily, to go ahead and remove yourself, it would be enough one. But that's when you didn't use the chutzah. Over here, when I was feeding my animal, and all of a sudden now, I can't use it, we need an extra secure measure. That extra secure measure is, in addition to closing the door, you need a bittul, or vice versa. Who oisa v'chaveri mutta? He's us now in his chaveri's mutta. Pshita l'charetz pasha. That's exactly what bittul does. Bittul allows the people who are there to use it. In this scenario, there's only one person. It says we're speaking of case the hoder idach ubatel leilachavre. They're playing both sides of the fence, or in this case, the door. He closed the door. He's mevatel. That's side A. Oh, you used it. Now, we did the guy on the right side. Now the guy on the left side said, now it's your turn. I'll close my door, mevatel, and you use it. The chiddush is, no. Ein chayz mevatel. We had this also earlier in the Sefta. Says the Gemara, the ein mevatel chayz pshid like tzricha, the hadri the chubatel leilachavei. Well, kamashmon, the ein mevatel v'chayz mevatel. You can't go ahead and be mevatel the second time. Ein mevatel v'chayz mevatel. Again, we had a pit. We had a pit over here, picture 69. Here's this one over here. This one could use from here, and this one could use from here. And we're not concerned that they're going to go over bounds. It says Gemara Pshita, like Tzricha Rabbi Akiva Damat Chumim Daraisa. Rabbi Akiva said, Yehuda, what does Rabbi Akiva Shita?
Chumna daraisa.
Very good. So let Rabbi Akiva that what Chumna daraisa ma'od detema. I might think ligzar dilma asi lachlufe. I might think you may come to go ahead and switch him to him by daraisa and be over daraisa. Kamash malon what that we're not worried. Kamash malon that we're going to be okay. Kamash malon we're going to be okay. Says the Mishnah. Now, the easiest way to make a sheet of mavois is like an Erev Chatzeros to collect from everybody. But think about it. By a Chatzer, you have your house and you can have a few Chatzeros. By a mavoi, you can have many Chatzeros. Now, many Chatzeros means you have many houses to the Chatzeros. So exponentially, the amount of collection required for a mavoi will be considerably greater than an Erev Chatzeros. So therefore, they have an eitzah, a very good eitzah. What's the eitzah? Maniach es achavius, you leave a barrel, or you leave a box of matzah. V'oimer, harezu l'chol b'nei mavoi. This should be for all the people of the mavoi. You're being a tzaddik. We say, zachin lav m'shlei b'fanav. I can be mezaka, merit somebody not in front of him. No one here is going to say, I don't want to be part of the shituf. I don't want to carry in the mavoi. Everyone's going to be pleased as borscht that you'll be able to go ahead and do that. So go ahead and do it.
As long as it's not red.
Yes.
As long as there's no guy there. As long as everybody's Jewish.
Correct. Umezaklem al yedei b'no bidoi gedolim. They have to be, people. Here you need das. Al yedei avdev shefchaslei ha'ivrim, Jewish maidservants and Jewish slaves. Very, very, very strange to see this. Usually, you only have an eved. When it says tam an eved, it means eved Kanani. Very never do you say an eved ivri, because an eved ivri basically is a Jew, right? It's very not the most common thing. By the ishtoi, avol ein mezaka lo yadei beno bita ketanim. They don't have das. Lo yadei avdim shevchas lekananim with Mrs. Kisha. Lefnei she yodon ki yadoi. In other words, it never leaves their hand. That's the chiddush over here, fellas. We say yad avdoi ki yad rabbi, right? Masha kona eved kona rabbi. So therefore, if you would be mezaka them, it never left your rishus. Zikli means that what? I'm being mezaka. Your rishus is coming in here, right? I'm being mezaka the rishus to you. That would never happen over here. Rashi says, except this chavias, v'zacha ba l'shem kol b'nei mavoi, and be zeicha for the b'nei mavoi. So guys, if you would give this, if you would be giving this over to who? To a eved that you own, or a child, you didn't do anything. It still remains by you. So that's where it doesn't work. Amar Rav Yehuda, chavias shel shutafim avois, tzarich labiyah min hakarka tefach. You have to pick it up off the ground, the tefach. Now, usually, when you pick up something, hagbah has to be 3 tefachim. Here, it seems to be a tefach. So look at the second tosus in the bottom. Don't make a mistake and think kinyan hagbah has to be a tefach. The shiny shutuvim voice the rabbanon. Teda the holikoasi hachal ashminan din hagbah b'chomakan. We don't bring in that this is din hagbah at all. We just say, this is a din that's unique to shitufim voice. But ein chinami hagbah, the kinyan hagbah. We have a rule in kinyanim. Hagbah is koinem b'chol makom. In other words, when you do Mashiach, you have to go from one person's rishus to another person's rishus. Hagbah, you don't have to leave the rishus. Why? Because by picking it up 3 tefachim, it goes into your rishus. So the fact that we didn't bring this in over here is a raya that this hagbah of 1 tefach is unique to Eruvin because of its rabbinical status, not because what a din in kinyan hagbah would be more than 1 tefach. Amar Rava, hani tarti mili, these 2 things, mi sabi de pumbedisa amrinu, the sabi de pumbedisa Rabbi Yehuda and his yeshiva, right? They said chada ha, this one that hagbah you can mizak and hagbah is a tefach. Guys, we're leaving Eruvin for a few minutes. Take a deep breath. Smile. I got a lot of smiles. Anyway, so hamikadesh, you make kiddush. Im toyim mali logma. If you go ahead and you get a cheekful, yatsa, you would be yatsa. Vim lav la yatsa, right? In other words, it means like this. You go ahead with your mouth, it's less than a revius, guys. It's less than a revius. So anyone who does, this is the sheet of Pumbedisa. Anyone who goes and makes kiddush, here's another statement of Rabbi Yehuda's yeshiva, right? A woman who gave birth and cold is dangerous for her. You can go ahead and light a fire for her on Shabbos, right? Dafka for a woman who is in danger, but for a sick person not. And Dafka in the winter, but not in the summer. That was the mistake. Itmar. Some Rav Chia bar Oven on Shmuel, hikis dam, a person who bloodlet, v'nitztanin, and he got cold as a result. Oislam medura b'Shabbos, so he certainly did not in childbirth, correct? He's just a chayla. Va'afil b'tkufas Tammuz, even in the hottest day of the summer, tkufas Tammuz, you still can make a fire for him. So what have we proven? We've proven that this din of lighting the fire has nothing to do with not limited to a person who gave birth. It can be extended to a person who's in sakano or sick, and also even in the summer. Amra Mema, Hani Nami Sabi Another thing they stated, Ditmar, Ezi Ashera What stam? What is stam? Stam and a shera. Right? A shera is something that was dina by the zara. In other words, if you saw them going ahead, let's say, Lamashal, you were in Dallas and you saw them bowing down to AT&T Stadium. You know that it's an avodah zara, right? You mamish know it. You see it. There it is. But let's see, stam is like, let's say you drive by the FDR and you see a big bat. You want to know if that's an avodah zara or not. You want to know if that stadium is a shtik avodah zara. So it depends upon this. Amarav, kol shem eshasi avodah skalilim shaim roisai. You see, the fans, they wait around the stadium with the mishamish. So you know that they serve it as an avodah zara. So if you see them standing around the tree, you'll know that it's an avodah zara. Ve'ein taimim periseha. They don't eat the fruits. They don't eat the fruits. There's no parking. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Kigayin the Amri Hani Tamri l'Shikra debein Tatzufei the Shasle b'Yam Chagam. Right. Shmuel says that even if they use the fruits, but they use the fruit for base Natsufi, the name of Avodah Zarah at that time, they would make beer for it. So therefore, that you know the tree is not Shera. If Amali Sabit Fabisa, Helchasagabasi the Shmuel. The halacha is like Shmuel. And with that note, I bid you good evening.
Sky, have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.